Well, I got ready to go to a cruise in this thing, and I'll fire it up and let you guys hear what it sounds like. Doesn't sound good. It seems to be running fine, which is weird. It's not the exhaust. I don't know what that is. I've always had good oil pressure. Huh. I don't know what that is. I don't know. Well, no cruise today. It's hard to believe that summer's already over. It's like cold outside. It's like 60 degrees or whatever. So I got to get the Dodge in here on the lift. This car is in the way. It seems like it's out of gas too. We've never filled it up and the gas gauge doesn't work. And the previous owner has put a locking gas cap on it and didn't give us the keys. So that's awesome. So we got to try to pick the lock on this thing so that we can get some gas in it so I can pull it out. I can't really push it forward because it's all muddy. It's got to go out back there so I can pull in the truck. So let's get at it. Yeah, so that's what we're looking at. The old dual lock Junior. I don't even know what this thing is or whatever. We've just got to try to get into it. Well, it would have been nice to hear about this lost key situation beforehand. But whatever, what can you do? Oh man, there we go. Finally. What a piece of junk! Ah! Man, what is all red in there? That's weird. Locking gas caps. Ah! Wonder what the red is. I don't know. You Ford guys, let me know why it's all red down in there. Well, whatever. We're gonna need to order a gas cap for it. That took a lot longer than I was expecting. The dual lock Junior was pretty gummy and gross, so and it's broken. So the cap on it, it's like a little flip top cap or whatever that's been busted off. This thing's like super worn out, everything. I could barely get it off, but we did get it off. So now we can actually continue with our day. I'm hoping that the only thing that's wrong with this is it's out of gas. Well, this key wouldn't work before. It's a Briggs & Stratton key and it was bent. You see, I can't get the thing out now, but yeah, it's bent. But there we go. The mechanism was just so trashed that it wouldn't even fit in the keyway. So I wasted all that time for nothing. But at least we have a gas cap still.
One eternity later.
Well, it looks like our carb is leaking. So it probably needs to be rebuilt. I don't even know how old it is or whatever. So maybe there's vacuum leak. Or what is this thing? Yeah. Anyway, I'll just let it sit for a few. I don't know anything about these flatheads. I'm learning as I go. But you learn a lot of interesting things along the way when you buy a car. So it's just sticky taped down and then zip tied into place. So probably not ideal, but it works for now. This is a project for another time. But yeah, I don't think any of that's right. Anyway, let it sit for a few minutes. I'm sure it's flooded. Give it a shot. Then pull the truck in. Luckily for me, I've got an enclosed area. Got lights. So even if it gets late, we could still work on the Dodge. Alright, well I guess it's time to install the winch on here. So I can winch this thing out. It won't start. So I can't get enough momentum because of the little drop off there to push it over. So anyways, we're just going to go and deviate from our plan and get into another project today and run the power lines for the winch. All right, one thing I got to do is I got to cut this out. It's one little bar right here. There we go, there's one. There we go. I'll touch all that up later on. Rusty hacksaw blade. We're good. I bought some of this because the mosquitoes this year don't even seem affected by the off. So I'm going to try using this citronella to keep them away. So the reason for that cutout is this pigtail that I made. It's got a 50 amp quick disconnect or 100 amp, something like that. And it's got 1 gauge wire, which is the terminals that this thing came with. So I kind of had to use the big dogs. So let's see, there's more than enough room in here for this stuff. So I've been wanting to do this for quite a while and just get this thing done. This is the breakout box or quick disconnect that I used. I did make a short on Anki. I guess these are called Robertson terminals or something that I used. The ones inside of there. I did make a short on this, and a bunch of people kind of complained about how I connected this up. Basically, all I did was I used a fuel injection hose clamp to squish down all of the wires so that they wouldn't just fray out. Those little terminals inside of that box were super, super tight to get on, and I just wasn't able to do it without fraying all the wires. So anyway, a bunch of people complained, but to answer any complaints or whatever, I did solder all of the terminals together, and you can see they're shrink wrapped in there with weatherproof marine shrink wrap. Then they're connected in there. They snap in. So they're definitely not going to go anywhere. Again, they're all weather seal, shrink wrap, everything. They should be fine. I'm not a professional at any of this stuff, but I mean, it's pretty simple, basic electronics type of stuff. Positive and negative battery cables, they just connect up. So I mean, how much easier could it really be? So is it the right way? Did I use all the exact right stuff from the whatever specialty store? No, but that's the way all this stuff came. I just added some ends on it. Now we've got a removable winch, and there we go. All right, well, now that we've wasted half the day on all these little random projects, we can drag this car out of here, then do what we wanted to do, pull the Dodge in, put it on the lift, and figure out what's wrong with it. We might actually just get stuck out here. It's so wet. Like maybe a weight fell off the torque converter? I don't know. Man, that's bad. As soon as you give it a little bit of gas, it stops. It's weird. So that's in park. Rattling. Reverse, it stops. See what it's like in neutral. Neutral's not doing it. I wonder if the parking pawl is broken. Put it in park again. Yeah. Well, that's new. I think the parking pawl is busted on the trans. I don't know enough about transmissions to be able to tell. Reverse, we're good. Neutral. Let's drive. Second. First. Park. Huh. Well, I guess that's something. At least the engine isn't hurt. I don't know. I need to be skinnier. Oh. I guess that's one of the prices you pay for buying a cheap lift is a little bit more narrow. I don't know. Or maybe I gotta lose a couple of pounds. Now, we're a little crooked, but it'll be all right. And I don't know. I never even noticed it before, or never thought about it before. I guess just in park. So if it's only doing that in park, it means the parking pawl, there's like a ring inside of there with these notches in it. This like little tiny, I don't know, like finger or whatever, falls into place and locks the transmission in. So I don't know. I guess we could put it in park and try to push it. That should lock the transmission and keep it from moving around. So if we can move it while it's in park, then that pawl is broken off for sure. So I don't know. Let me find my tripod and we'll try to see if that's a thing. I don't know. Well, at least now we know that it only does it in park. So that leads me to believe that it's something internal to the transmission. And if you're new to the channel or whatever, you haven't watched the whole playlist for this truck, which I'll leave up here somewhere, there's been some drama with the trans from the get-go. So I originally bought a van. It was a B350, big 1-ton extended like church van looking thing. And I took the engine and transmission out of that, built it for this truck. So that van ran fine, and I didn't have any problems with like the trans not working or it leaking fluid or the engine didn't leak oil. There was no problems, and I ripped it all over here and never had an issue. So when I built the engine, I don't know anything about transmissions, so I found a shop kind of local to me that specializes in like old school Mopars. So they did like Hemi stuff, racing, road runners, all this crazy stuff. So, you know, I took it to them to have it built, to put some decent power behind it and have it hold up. And I told the dude, I was like, I don't care what you got to do to this thing. I just need it to be reliable and, you know, hold up, because I wanted to take it on power tour. I didn't want to have any issues with it, right? So kind of gave him like a blank check almost for this thing. And when I got it back, I had to take it back to him like 3 or 4 times. This thing was gushing trans fluid out by the gallon. It was insane. I probably went through $400 in fluid because it wouldn't stop just blasting fluid out of it. So they originally found like an O-ring they said was bad and whatever. And then the final time they just said, hey, we found out what the problem was. The tail shaft, or the tail housing rather, was bent 90 thou out at the top, and they just had to put it on their lift, actually get some RPM on it and drive, and then it would start slinging the oil out of it because they couldn't find it other than that. So how a tail shaft got bent 90 thou when it wasn't leaking when I had it, who knows? You know, you can't hardly trust anybody anymore. But to show you what 90 thou is, that's 90 thou. That's a huge gap to be in a cast aluminum housing. Look at how big it is. So my thought is that they dropped it or damaged it, but you know, you're never going to get a shop to say that they damaged it. And just to prove to you, you know, that's at 0. So that's 90 thou. No, it's catching. No mosquitoes? Jeez. No, it's working. I mean, it's catching it. That's reverse. Don't know anything about transmissions. All I know is it makes a bunch of racket in park. It stays put in park. It's a 727. It probably doesn't even have 2,500 miles on it. The whole build ever since I did it. So it's basically brand new. I just changed the brake-in oil out of it, you know, 300 miles ago, 400 miles ago, maybe not even that. So, I mean, that transmission is brand new. This is the oil filter where I just took the brake-in oil out of this truck. So, I mean, the thing has like no miles on it really, maybe 3,500, something like that, 2,500. It really doesn't have really any miles on it. Well, the 41's inside and apparently the gas tank's leaking on it, so gas that I did put in it just drained out onto the ground, but whatever, doesn't matter. We've got the old Dodge up on the lift now. So I took the starter off, but beyond that I sprayed down everything with just some brake clean just to kind of make it a little bit more bearable. So the trans is still leaking a little bit around there. Yeah, so starters out. These mini starters sure make it a lot easier to deal with than the ginormous, you know, old school Mopar starters. Got a couple of those down there. Look at the size of that thing. Once you get them around headers, they're almost impossible to get out. Well, since we're here, let's take a look underneath. Man, these are brand new springs. This is what Michigan winters do to everything. All right, so we got a leaking wheel cylinder now, so that's great. But man, this thing has really went to crap. Brand new drive shaft. That thing was clear coated and everything. It's going downhill pretty fast. Man, everything is just rusting. Good old Michigan. So, anyhow, let's take a look at our trans here and see what's going on. All right, well, maybe something will fall out from the inspection cover here. Mopars aren't like GMs that have the big cutout where you can roll the ring gear around or anything. Well, so far nothing. Really, it's not even super gross in there. So there's one more bolt up in here. We'll take that out. Yeah. And everything should come down. Well, alrighty. The flex plate or ring gear rather doesn't look too destroyed, so and that's good. Yeah, nothing in here. Sounded like there was like a bolt rattling around, so I thought maybe the starter came apart, but starter's fine. So we're good to go there. What? What the heck? Bro. Oh, come on. For real? Oh. Dude. This stuff isn't even bolted in. Nice job, trans guy. Would you just forget to put Loctite on it? Now I gotta get this bolt out. Stand by. There we go. Got it out. Ugh. All right, well, I moved this thing a little bit. Gotta spray out the hole with some brake clean. So Loctite's got something to bite onto. Spray down the bolt pretty good. Got some red Loctite here. There we go. Good enough. All right, there we go. Got the torque wrench. Yeah, it won't fit. Set to 23 foot-pounds. That seems to be where my torque wrench wants to be at. Bar that thing down just a tad. And there we go. She's right there. So now we'll just bump it over. So I've got one of these triggers. Kind of hard to show everything. I don't have enough hands, but there's a little trigger, right? If you're working on one of these old trucks. So you got two legs on the starter. You've got your big battery one, and then the one right next to it, which is the solenoid trigger. You just connect those two up with the trigger and be able to move the engine over. All right, so we know that this one's torqued. We'll put a blue paint marker on that one. Lets us know that we've already done it. It's a good practice to get into. Everything you've torqued, paint marker it. The coil's unplugged right now. I don't think there's any Loctite on this one either. There's some drag on it, so maybe there's something. Sure doesn't look like it's got anything on it to me. Whatever that is, maybe it's some old Loctite. I'm not sure. Maybe he uses a cheap brand. Who knows? So we're going to do the same thing. Clean these up. Clean up inside the hole there with some brake clean. And then just torque them all down to 22 foot-pounds. What's going on? Is it like a different size? Come on. 1/2 inch. Oh, look at that. That's like super loose too. What a jerk. Well, that one's got some red on it, I guess. But the wrong size head. You'd have to go back through and watch the engine assembly video, but I'm pretty sure that I know I bought a brand new set of converter bolts, and all of these are different, so somehow they got changed. Or maybe I'm just wrong, I don't know, but I know that I bought new bolts, so whether they got put in or not, I don't know. But I did buy new bolts. And I don't think Hot Rod J would let me get away with using mismatched converter bolts. He's pretty meticulous. Yeah, we're done under here for now. If anybody's watched any of those videos, let me know if I used the wrong bolts when I assembled this thing. I don't think so, but anyway, that's all I can do tonight. It's like 10:30 at night. I can't fire this thing up right now, wake up the neighbors or whatever. So we'll leave it till tomorrow. Fire it up, that way all the Loctite can dry up too, cure whatever it does, and then we'll mess with it tomorrow. Well, alrighty, I think that we've got everything figured out. This is the next day. We're going to lower this thing down and see if it works. I'm pretty sure that it will. I don't know if a loose torque converter can damage anything in the transmission ultimately or not. You guys can let me know in the comments. Hopefully this just fixes our problem, and I'll order another set of bolts and put them in one day. But while I was under here, I found another problem, which is arguably one of the worst jobs to do on one of these trucks. It does require a 3/4 inch drive breaker bar. I got the little cheapy short one. I couldn't afford the $100 Icon one. That's big dollars, but I had to order some parts. We'll got to get to that. If you already know where I'm going with this, you know what job that's going to be. It's not going to be a lot of fun, but we'll have to do that in another video, but it does need to be done. So anyway, let's see if we fixed our problem this time. All right, well, it's raining out again. Go figure. So you might hear that on the mic. There's nothing I can do about that. I got the coil plugged in. We'll just raise it up a little bit, get the tires off the ground, put it in gear, run through it. Everything just should work. Rain. Fixed it. So that was it. The trans shop put in mismatched bolts and didn't really do a good job securing them, I guess. I don't know. There are some things that need to be addressed on here first. I'm not going to say what it is though. And yeah, it's going to be a nightmare. But that's for another video. Right now, the old Dodge is finally fixed. I was completely sketched out. I didn't know what the deal was with that. I still am unhappy with the job that this dude did, the shop did on the transmission. I just never feel comfortable with it ever. I always feel like something's going to break. Here we go, whatever. I thought this was going to be a great excuse for me to swap over to my 4-speed that I've been waiting to do. But ideally, I would like a 5-speed with an overdrive. Instead, I've just got an 833 cast iron, 4-speed, no overdrive, 23 spline, just your bog standard, transmission, not a Hemi one, not the 6-pack one. Those are all 18 spline, I believe. This is just your normal 4-speed. Then I got the aluminum housing 833, which is the same as the regular old cast iron 833. Or A833. The only difference is that they kind of spread out the first 3 gears and made the 4th gear into an overdrive, and it's aluminum housing. Apparently it's not quite as beefy and strong as the cast iron ones. There's something about one of the shafts just right in the housing and they don't have a bearing in there, so that's like a problem. So anyway, it needs a steel flywheel for that. That's $400-ish, something like that. And that's it. So I kind of would like to find a 5-speed. This has a different trans tunnel than all the manual Dodges. All the manual Dodges had like a big flat, kind of like all the 4-speeds and the top loader transmissions and all that. They had like a flat topped trans tunnel. This one has like a skinny hourglass shaped trans tunnel because it only fits the automatics, or the 833s with the slant 6, I believe, something like that. So it won't fit any of the top loader transmissions. Well, over here in Transmission Alley, we've got 2 833s. This is the old school cast iron 833 23 spline, out of the old Chargers and earlier cars. This is the aluminum housing one, so it's same transmission. They just spread out the first 3 gears and made 4th an overdrive. This is non-overdrive. And then this one is the top loader. Pretty rare trans. This is an NP 445, so it's a close ratio trans. It's like the one that was in all the trucks, but this doesn't have a granny gear. It has like a usable first gear. But you can see it's pretty big, so it won't fit in my truck without cutting the floor out. Unfortunately, I don't know a ton about transmissions other than they're super expensive. If I could find a 5-speed manual that kind of had this same dimension to it, the same size, and would fit in there without me having to cut my whole truck up, That would be nice, but I really don't want to spend thousands on a transmission when I've got these. But I don't know. If you guys know something that fits in these Dodges without a ton of work, let me know in the comments. The 41 still won't run, so I think it needs a carb. It's leaking pretty bad from the carburetor, so I don't know what happened with that. I tried a bunch of different stuff. Out here, it's totally soaking wet. We got 4 inches of rain last night. I've never even been able to cut the back field this year because it's just super wet. So we can't get the truck out right now. It's just a swamp. Well, it kind of sucks that we didn't get to validate the repair, but I'm pretty sure we got it with those torque converter bolts. Those things were a mess. I don't know, I'm pretty bummed out about that whole transmission thing, but what can you do? You know what I mean? But before I go, I want to give a shout out to my best little buddy, Jax. He's always watching and having fun with these videos, so super cool. Thanks a lot, Jax, for being my #1 fan. I don't know, it's cool that the younger generation still likes, you know, the cars and tinkering around with hot rods and four-wheel drives or whatever. Because by the time Jax is driving age, he might have to be an electrical engineer in order to work on his cars and hot rod them and stuff. So maybe that's a career path for you, Jax, be an electrical engineer so you can do cool things with your cars. Other than that, thanks a lot for watching, everybody. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I'll catch you on the next one.